This is Pulse of Africa, the face and voice of Africa. The story of resurgent and burgeoning Africa is here, only on the Pulse of Africa channel. Pulse of Africa, the face and voice of Africa.
History remembers moments, but sometimes a moment remembers of people. I speak of the hour when Africa was bowed and bowed, and they have literally watched hope slip through their fingers. Then rose the mountains of Adwa, towering, silent, and eternal. From those heights came the warriors of Ethiopia, united and unwavering. Their unity was a wall that no empire could possibly break. With these flags in their hands and the fire of freedom burning in their souls, the most impossible thing became a reality. Adwa became more than just a battle. It became the sunrise for all those who have lost hope. A spark ignited courage, giving voice to dreams long silenced, echoing movements for dignity, justice, and self-determination. So we honored those who stood, fought, and fell. Those heroes in which their courage saved the entire Africa. Because at Adwa, they merely fought for land, but to restore hope, reclaim identity, and to declare that Africa, unbound, unbroken, and could still stand still. And with that, generations have inherited their history, a light that will never be out, and a fire that will never be extinguished.
Hello and welcome, I'm Tensai Gabriel and you're watching Pulse of Africa News. Let's start with Young Generation Art Award. London-based Nigerian artist Ken Nwadigbu has been named the winner of the Young Generation Art Award 2026 presented by Degussa in partnership with Monopolo. The award was announced during a ceremony held at the Hotel de Rome in Berlin, where Nwadigbu emerged as the top artist from a competitive pool of around 400 applicants. 5 finalists has been shortlisted before the jury selected him as this year's winner. Born in 1994, Nwadigbu is known for his innovative conceptual drawings and multidisciplinary storytelling approach. Although he originally trained in civil and environmental engineering, he has spent over 7 years building a career as a studio artist exploring themes such as Black socio-political structures, gender equality, African identity, and empowerment. Reacting to the recognition, he described the award as motivation to stay disciplined and humble while continuing to tell authentic stories and create spaces for representation. Widely known for his Ken art, he is also credited with pioneering the contemporary realism movement as a blend of hyperrealism and contemporary art. His work has been exhibited internationally, including at the Brick Lane Gallery in London and in group exhibitions across the United States, Nigeria, and Europe. The award marks another milestone in Nwadigbu's growing global profile as one of the emerging voices shaping contemporary African art. Ethiopian President Taye Asselassie commemorated the 130th anniversary of the historic Adwa victory during the annual council meeting of the Global Black Center at the Adwa Victory Memorial Museum on Saturday. He described the event as a meaningful opportunity to honor Ethiopia and the African forces that successfully resisted colonial invasion. President Taye emphasized the enduring significance of Adwa as a source of inspiration in the struggle against colonialism, noting its impact on African pride, identity, and historical consciousness.
Our gathering here at Adwa Memorial Museum gives us a renewed commitment to honor the Ethiopian army which defeated the invading colonial forces. This occasion coincided with the celebration of the 130th anniversary of the victory of Adwa. It is indeed a special moment to recognize the powerful message that Adwa has heralded to our struggle against colonialism. Ethiopia is proud to host the Global Black Center, which stands as a testament to the enduring spirit of Black intellectualism, leadership, and unity. It is in this spirit that in our time we continue to write our liberation, narrate our history, cherish our heritage, define our destiny, and build knowledge for future generations.
Adwa has elevated the Black spirit to a new level of vitality and dignity, he said, calling for continued efforts to preserve and narrate African history for future generations. Former Ethiopian Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs, Demek Makonnen, who also serves as President of the Global Black Center Council, reflected on the courage and unity of ancestors who defeated a formidable colonial power, a victory whose influence extends far beyond Ethiopia.
130th anniversary of the victory of Adwa, that immortal moment when our ancestors, armed with courage and unity, the decision to establish the Global Black Center headquarters at the Adwa Victory Memorial is no administrative accident, but a sacred convergence of history and purpose. This center is not merely an organization. It is a covenant between generations, a living bridge connecting the sacrifice of the past to the possibilities of the future.
The Global Black Center, headquartered at the Adwa Victory Memorial, was highlighted as a bridge between past sacrifices and future possibilities. Over the past year, the center has strengthened partnerships across Africa and the diaspora, launched research initiatives to recover neglected histories, and implemented programs enabling children to connect with the achievements of their ancestors. Khalifa Mahana of the African Union Commission's Health and Medical Service Directorate encouraged Africans to engage with the center as a symbol of shared dedication.
From the very inception of the Global Black Center, the African Union Commission has stood firmly in support of its noble cause, a milestone that reflected in our shared dedication to advancing the aspirations of people of Africa and people of the African descent worldwide. The African Union deeply appreciates the tireless efforts, creativity, and dreams of the Global Black Center embodies. Your work continues to inspire and strengthen the bonds of unity across communities and nations.
The meeting reinforced Adwa's legacy as a beacon of African resilience, unity, and dignity, affirming Ethiopia's commitment to honoring history while shaping the continent's future.
History remembers moments, but sometimes a moment remembers of people. I speak of the hour when Africa was bowed and bowed, and they have literally watched hope slip through their fingers. Then rose the mountains of Adwa, towering, silenced, and eternal. From those heights came the warriors of Ethiopia, united and unwavering. Their unity was a wall that no empire could possibly break. With these flags in their hands and the fire of freedom burning in their souls, the most impossible thing became a reality. Adwa became more than just a battle. It became the sunrise for all those who have lost hope. A spark ignited courage, giving voice to dreams long silenced, echoing movements for dignity, justice, and self-determination. So we honored those who stood, fought, and fell, Those heroes in which their courage saved the entire Africa. Because at Adwa, they merely fought for land, but to restore hope, reclaim identity, and to declare that Africa, unbound, unbroken, and could still stand still. And with that, generations have inherited their history, a light that will never be out, and a fire that will never be extinguished.
At a recent press briefing, Africa CDC Director General Dr. Jean Kasaya highlighted the 39th AU Summit's focus on health sovereignty, emphasizing Africa's shift from dependency towards self-reliance. He underscored the importance of accountability and ownership in building resilient health systems, noting that true progress comes from Africa's shaping global health agendas on their own terms.
We are talking about Africa's sovereignty. You have President Mahama with the Dakar reset, who clearly said we need to move from dependency to a system that is making us accountable, owning our systems, and requesting others to respect us. The way we are implementing Dakar reset in the health system, because you know Dakar reset is for all sectors.
Dr. Kasaya introduced the 5P+ strategy endorsed by African heads of state. The strategy includes reforms to international health structures, integrated pandemic prevention and preparedness, reliable local funding bolstered by Equatorial Guinea's commitments, digital innovation led by Ethiopia, and strengthened local production, culminating in a forthcoming special summit. He celebrated Africa CDC's achievements since 2023, including raising internal funding and increasing utilization rates.
I started in Africa CDC in April 2023. I was told that the utilization rate was 34% in 2022, and we only had 52 million in Africa CDC. Other funding were with implementing partners. Today, we managed to move from 34% to 95%, the highest utilization rate in AU. And we managed to bring internally funding from 52 million to 463 million. It means Africa CDC today is a world-class organization.
Ethiopia's leadership in digital health and AI, alongside a new committee of 70 African leaders advocating equitable global partnerships, further reflects the continent's growing influence. While Africa continues to face challenges such as mpox, cholera, and malaria, resilience shines through Uganda's rapid vaccination campaigns, declining mpox cases and diagnostic breakthroughs led by Equatorial Guinea and Ethiopia. African members of the United Nations Security Council have called for urgent de-escalation following rising tensions in the Middle East, warning that continued hostilities could trigger a wider regional conflict. Speaking at the United Nations in New York, Somalia's Ambassador Mohammed Rabi Youssef condemned the escalating military actions involving the United States, Iran, and Israel. The A3 described recent strikes and counterattacks as a perilous escalation, highlighting the risks to regional stability.
The A3 aligns itself with the statement of the chairperson of the African Union Commission, His Excellency Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, on the U.S.-Iran military escalation issued on February 28th of 2026. The reported military strikes carried out by the United States in coordination with their Israeli forces against targets inside the Islamic Republic of Iran, and Iran's subsequent response represents a perilous and deeply troubling escalation, one that marks a serious intensification of hostilities in the Middle East and threatens to engulf the entire region in an uncontrollable cycle of violence, suffering, and pain. The A3 condemns the missiles and drone attacks carried out by Iran against the sovereign territories of Bahrain, Kuwait, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates. The A3 reiterates that all member states must respect their obligations under international law, including the Charter, which prohibits the threat of the use of force against the territorial integrity or political independence of any state or in any other manner inconsistent with the purposes of the United Nations.
The group also condemned Iran's missile and drone attacks targeting Gulf countries, including Saudi Arabia, Qatar, United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, and Kuwait. Reaffirming commitment to international law, the A3 stressed adherence to the UN Charter, particularly the prohibition of force against sovereign states.
These actions risk further destabilizing the Middle East and underscore the urgent imperative to safeguard broader peace and internal stability, particularly as the geographic scope of military activity expands beyond the initial parties to the conflict. The A3 remains steadfast in its commitment to the fundamental principles of international law and the Charter of the United Nations. At the same time, the A3 recognizes the concerns of all states in the region, which must be addressed through dialogue and peaceful means in accordance with international law and the UN Charter. We believe that all member states share a responsibility to act in accordance with these commitments, and that these are essential foundations for international cooperation and peaceful coexistence.
The group urged all parties to pursue dialogue and diplomacy while emphasizing the need for credible and impartial multilateral action. The statement also renewed Africa's push for reform of the Security Council, arguing that the current structure does not adequately represent the continent. Backed by the African Union, African nations reiterated that inclusive global governance is essential for effective conflict resolution.
The A3 calls for restraint, urgent de-escalation, and sustained dialogue. All parties must act fully in accordance with international law and the United Nations Charter to safeguard international peace and security. Our position underscores the importance of dialogue, the peaceful settlement of disputes, and respect of international law. It's important for all parties to exercise restraint and responsibility, uphold international law, and avoid any actions that could escalate tensions or threaten regional peace and stability. The A3 stresses that the spillover effects of these hostilities imperil countless lives and threaten to deepen existing crises. The A3 expresses its solidarity with the people of the region and reiterates that the African Union's commitment to peace, stability, and mutual respect among nations and regions.
The A3 further called for the establishment of a nuclear weapons-free zone in the Middle East and urged all countries to join the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. Concluding their address, African representatives stressed that lasting global peace depends on respect for international law, inclusive institutions, and meaningful multilateral reform. Kenya has launched the continent's first comprehensive sanitation management policy, developed using African Ministers' Council on Water guidelines, setting a benchmark for integrated sanitation governance across Africa. The Kenya Sanitation Management Policy aims to standardize service delivery, integrate sanitation with water and environmental management, and strengthen institutional coordination. Eric Muga, speaking at the launch, highlighted the policy's importance for improving urban sanitation, water resource management, and service delivery, particularly in rapidly growing urban centers like Nairobi. The rollout included a review of Nairobi's metropolitan water supply, addressing aging infrastructure, access gaps, and operational inefficiencies. The policy emphasizes sustainable financing for sanitation infrastructure, accountability among stakeholders, and scalable solutions that can be adapted across urban and pre-urban areas. By adopting AMCOW's framework, Kenya provides a model for other African nations to modernize their sanitation management systems. Officials underscored that the initiative will enhance public health, environmental protection, and urban resilience, supporting millions of residents with safer and more reliable sanitation and water services. The launch reinforces Kenya's commitment to sustainable urban development, improved water governance, and alignment with Africa's broader agenda for safe and equitable water and sanitation services.
History remembers moments, but sometimes a moment remembers of people. I speak of the hour when Africa was bowed and bowed, and they have literally watched hope slip through their fingers. Then rose the mountains of Adwa, towering, silenced, and eternal. From those heights came the warriors of Ethiopia, united and unwavering. Their unity was a wall that no empire could possibly break. With these flags in their hands and the fire of freedom burning in their souls, the most impossible thing became a reality. Adwa became more than just a battle. It became the sunrise for all those who have lost hope. A spark ignited courage, giving voice to dreams long silenced, echoing movements for dignity, justice, and self-determination. So we honored those who stood, fought, and fell. Those heroes in which their courage saved the entire Africa. Because at Adwa, they merely fought for land, but to restore hope, reclaim identity, and to declare that Africa, unbound, unbroken, and could still stand still. And with that, generations have inherited their history, a light that will never be out, and a fire that will never be extinguished.
Proceeding Adwa, remember this, the Europeans carved up our homes with bloodthirst, not because we were the third world, but because we were the first. Because we held gold in our hearts, because we had diamonds for eyes, because oil ran through our veins and a blessing hung in our skies. Remember this, that when they scrambled in the conference in Berlin and callously carved Africa, searing each African's skin, it was not because of their greed or need to sow seeds saturated with sorrow, but because through Africa's greatness they envisioned their own tomorrow, the beginning. Barriateri, the Italian general, had ice instead of eyes and a tongue of 5 leather whips. Rasulullah was deafened by the whisper of lies that seeped from his lips. Through Alula's agents who could read the tone of Ethiopian winds, their whisper, we will catch the Italian advance before the advance begins. And with anger, that of lions, and a swiftness of eagle's wings, Alula rose, magnificent, and rode to the foot of Menelik the king.
Shifting to business news, Ghana has achieved a major economic turnaround under President John Mahama, marked by a strong stabilization and growth across key macroeconomic indicators. The recovery has restored investor confidence and created a foundation for sustainable development. Inflation has been reduced from 56% to 5.6%, while the policy interest rate fell from 30% to 15.5%, easing borrowing costs and encouraging investment. The cedi strengthened from GHS 16.4 to GHS 10.8 against major currencies, and Ghana's credit rating improved from CCC plus to B minus, reflecting enhanced fiscal discipline and debt management.
We inherited an economy in severe crisis, burdened by unsustainable debt, high inflation, a rapidly depreciating currency, and an escalating cost of living crisis that had left our citizens reeling from unimaginable hardship caused by years of general imprudence and reckless management of the economy. Mr. Speaker, I was clear from the outset that recovery would not come easily. But I was also clear that I'll stop at nothing to turn this situation around and bring relief to Ghanaians. I promised then that just as I have confronted and overcome crisis in the past, I'll reset our economy and return us to a path of growth, progress, and development.
GDP growth reached 5.5% to 6.1% in 2025, with a $9.1 billion current account surplus and a debt-to-GDP ratio reduced to 48.9%. Foreign exchange reserves were bolstered, the banking sector stabilized, and the IMF-supported reform program remains on track, reinforcing macroeconomic stability. Analysts attribute the rebound to disciplined fiscal management, monetary stabilization, and structural reforms, which have collectively created a pathway from stabilization to sustainable growth.
I told this August House then, when I appeared before you last year, that we would have to take tough, prudent, and necessary decisions to restore stability and credibility. Today, Mr. Speaker, I can say to you with confidence, Ghana is back. Ghana is working again. And Ghana is open for business. The fundamentals are improving, and the path to sustained acceleration is very clear to everyone. From the outset, we resolved to choose discipline over waste, reform over excuses, and stability over speculation. As a responsible government, our first order of business was to halt the economic hemorrhage and restore order to our public finances. We tightened expenditure and commitment controls. We improved payables reporting and conducted a comprehensive audit of 2024 commitments to restore credibility and discipline. Mr. Speaker, these measures have begun to deliver some of the most remarkable economic outcomes in decades.
President Mahama emphasized that these milestones provide a platform for inclusive development, private sector expansion, and job creation. Ghana's recovery strengthens its position as a leading West African economy and offers a model for neighboring countries seeking economic stability. Moving forward, the government plans to consolidate gains by boosting industrial output, trade competitiveness, and long-term prosperity for citizens. Liquid Intelligent Technologies has fully repaid its existing debt, including the ZAR term loan and USD revolving credit facility, while securing a new $410 million credit facility from a syndicate of commercial and development finance lenders. The move reinforces the company's financial position and supports its growth strategy across Africa. Cassava Technologies, Liquid Intelligence parent company, is further bolstering the business by injecting $195 million in fresh capital. These steps come alongside the recent sale of a minority stake in Africa Data Center Holdings' South Africa operations, although the subsidiary remains wholly owned by Cassava Technologies. Hardy Pamiwa, president and group CEO, said the transaction strengthens the group's capital structure and positions it for accelerated growth. Through our One Cassava ecosystem, we are delivering innovative AI, cloud data center, payments, and low-latency broadband solutions to enterprise customers across Africa, Pamiwa stated. Looking ahead, Liquid Intelligence plans to issue a new $300 million bond to replace its existing $620 million bond before its September 2026 maturity. This initiative is aimed at reducing leverage and further fortifying the company's balance sheet. The combined measures, debt repayment, fresh capital injection, and strategic bond issuance, signal Liquid Intelligence's commitment to sustainable growth and continued expansion in Africa's technology and connectivity sector. Finally, to sports, Orlando Pirates delivered a resounding 3-0 victory over rivals Kaizer Chiefs in Saturday's Betway Premiership Soweto Derby at FNB Stadium, reasserting their dominance in one of South Africa's most anticipated fixtures. Teshepeng Moremi opened the scoring in the 5th minute with a powerful long-range strike that deflected past Chiefs goalkeeper Bruce Buvuma, giving the Buccaneers an early advantage. Oswinapolis doubled the lead 6 minutes before halftime, finishing off a well-worked move involving Komeglo Sabelebele and Robe Hailen Fokofeng to make it a 2-0 at the break. Chiefs attempted to mount a comeback of the second half, but Pirates' defensive solidity and sharp counterattacks kept them at bay. Evidence Makopa sealed the win in the 79th minute with a perfectly timed header from a Mormi cross, completing the emphatic 3-0 scoreline. The victory moves Orlando Pirates 3 points clear at the top of the Premiership standings, though Mamelodi Sundowns could respond in their next fixture against Sukuhain United. For Kaizer Chiefs, the defeated extends a troubling run, marking their 3rd consecutive loss in all competitions and leaving them 11 points adrift of the league's leaders with a match in hand. Both teams return to league action midweek, with Chiefs visiting Richards Bay on Tuesday and Pirates traveling to Polokwane City on Wednesday. Now let's take a look at the weather forecast across Africa. That is all for this hour. Thanks for tuning in and goodbye.